What's up guys, it's Skillser. Today we're going to talk about an off-topic, random topic, basically the cure for cancer and why I made that video. Alright, and in the background we're watching Tactical Monsters Rumble Arena, because I don't feel like being on camera right now. It's just not on my mind. Alright, let's start this. Alright. So before I start, this is the last time I plan on doing any kind of medical videos or trying to help anyone out medically at all, because I wasted around 3 hours today to explain to someone everything about cancer and give them what would help them. Except to them, it wasn't worth their time to read, and it wasn't worth their time to even research anything I just told them, since everything I'm about to tell you, you can literally look up online. Except a few things. The doctors tried to tell you that you have a mutated strain called glucose mitochondria, which actually that's what you use to consume your food, otherwise it's unsoluble and therefore you just die. That's also the same reason why I got caffeine anhydrous poison. I got poisoned because it wasn't HCl, it wasn't soluble at all, so my body couldn't actually turn it into anything. It was literally like a powder that my body couldn't process, because it wasn't HCl, and that's why it was poisonous to my body. That's why I received the effects of the energy from the caffeine, but I was also poisoned because my body didn't process it. Alright, let's start off before I make this too complicated. To start off, cancer isn't your mitochondria. It isn't a mutated strain of glucose mitochondria. And if you did have cancer, the cysts of multiplying glucose mitochondria, that's what those cysts are on your body on the inside that they keep telling you is cancer, but it's not. It's actually your glucose mitochondria replicating itself. Let's just start back with, if you did have cancer, the cysts of multiplying glucose mitochondria, which are your body's incorrect response to replenishing your oxygen mitochondria, which you now lack. And by the way, this is also why people get cancer who didn't smoke. So, if someone smokes, they have black on their lungs, right? But if someone who didn't smoke gets cancer, they don't have black on their lungs. Oh, I guess that means it's probably because the black on your lungs isn't cancer, right? It isn't cancer. The black on your lungs is actually... the black on your lungs is actually a stain from smoke, because you're inhaling smoke. So even if you were to vape, if you were to smoke cigarettes, smoke weed, so forth, it is the smoke from inhaling that is actually staining your lungs over a long period of time. Cancer, however, isn't something that just springs up one day. You don't go from not having cancer to having cancer. No, cancer is something you build up over time. Every time you smoke, you're killing your oxygen mitochondria. So, basically, and a long story short, what cancer is whenever it starts to affect you is because you've killed thousands of your oxygen mitochondria every time you smoke a cigarette or so forth. And another thing is, if you didn't smoke, your oxygen mitochondria end up dying over time. This is a process of decay. I'm still researching decay, but whenever I find an answer to that, I'm not going to be posting it, because after talking to people the last few days, I'm just sick of people. I can't stand dealing with them anymore, at least not whenever it comes to medical terms. 1 second, and the match of this. Alright, so the black patches, as we just explained, are stains from inhaling smoke. The painful effects, let's go on to what the painful and fatal effects of cancer actually is, or what actually causes that. But I'll tell you right now, it's not your mitochondria, and it's not a mutated strain of mitochondria, even though the mutation they talk about is actually just what helps you process food. It's ridiculous the way doctors think sometimes. But you know, they're doctors, they're the professionals, let's leave it to them. Anyway, the painful fatal effects are actually oxygen. So, as you may have noted from things you may have watched in the past, there are a lot of things that die when exposed to oxygen. This is because oxygen is actually a poisonous gas, but your oxygen mitochondria convert that to energy. Without that, however, and this is why a lot of cancer patients feel pain whenever they're drinking water or whenever they're put on an IV drip, and they're still breathing, breathing hurts to them because the oxygen is poisoning their body. Now at that point that you have no more oxygen mitochondria, you are as good as dead. You can no longer produce oxygen mitochondria if you do not have any cells of oxygen mitochondria. And therefore oxygen becomes nothing more than a poison to your body. However, let's explain why that is. When you get a cut or you bleed, blood rushes out. This is your body's response to attempt to stop the oxygen from entering your bloodstream and thus killing you. The same process is what cancer truly is. Cancer is the lack of oxygen-converting mitochondria, which in turn causes the very same substance that kept you alive all these years to kill you. I'm talking about oxygen. Alright, let's get into the cure. Even though it doesn't matter, I don't care if anyone ever uses my research notes or if people die of cancer anymore. It does not matter. I did the research because I wanted to cure a friend of mine, which worked out quite successfully. Don't get me wrong, it's a painful process, but if it saves her life, that's all that counts. Anyway, when you lack sufficient oxygen mitochondria, and thus contain more glucose substance in your body than oxygen in your body's response is to replace your remaining oxygen mitochondria with glucose mitochondria in attempts to keep you alive. However, your body cannot function without oxygen. It's as simple as that, so your body has an incorrect response. This is why the glucose mitochondria cyst clusters appear. Basically, those clusters of what they call cancer, which are actually just clusters of glucose mitochondria. Yeah, that's why those appear, because that's your body's reaction to that. However, it's the wrong reaction. It's your body overreacting to the lack of oxygen and oxygen-converting mitochondria. So the cure is actually, and you'll notice this from, what is this guy's name? He was Hitler's main scientist, I just forget his name right now. But basically, he came up with the same exact thing I did, the same exact answer as I did. We'll go into that in a minute once I start this next match. Alright, a match any day now. Like I should put a theme on or something for how long it takes. Alright, let's get into this. It was Wahlberg's research. So, if you remember World War II, Hitler had a Jewish researcher called something Wahlberg. He basically got the same answer I did, except he never came up with an actual way to cure it, because the cure could be malnutrition and kill you from starvation. But I've come up with how to go about that, even though it doesn't matter. So you need to deprave your glucose mitochondria, which will reverse cancer, basically. It will slowly kill off your excess glucose mitochondria, because the water and breathing both contain oxygen. Remember, water is 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen. Oh, am I on auto? Alright. So the water and breathing both contain oxygen, and because you're no longer supplying glucose for your glucose mitochondria, it'll start to reverse the effects of cancer. Your body will start to reproduce the oxygen mitochondria once again, because it's the same way of how cancer begins. Basically, your body is saying, alright, I can no longer produce glucose mitochondria because I don't have glucose, so I have to go back to oxygen. This is exactly how the process works. So, you have to deprave your glucose mitochondria, which means if you did do that in the sense of Wahlberg's journal, it says, if you did, you'd have to deprave your glucose mitochondria. This means you'd have to stop eating altogether. That means you'd die of starvation or malnutrition. You don't want that, because we're trying to cure cancer, not kill you some other way. And starvation is not a cure. So, because of that, you'd have to get rid of all food sources, right? And even a lower amount of glucose, such as eating carrots, wouldn't work, because carrots have too much glucose. You would still feed your glucose mitochondria and thus prevent your body from understanding that you need to reproduce your oxygen mitochondria. That ends the Jewish researcher Wahlberg's research. So now we go into mine. So he knew to reduce the effects of cancer that you need to deprave the excess glucose mitochondria cells of matter so it would stop them from reproducing. What he never figured out was how to apply that without killing the patient of malnutrition or starvation, because if you're getting rid of glucose, you're basically stopping eating, or at least that's where his journal stops. However, before I continue, let me start this next match. I have no idea how I won that since these are all on auto. Most of these matches I bet I'm losing, but I'm not actually watching the matches, I'm actually reading out of my journal at the same time. Because I actually don't feel like just thinking all this through right now. But of course you have to think about something to talk about it, so I'm thinking about it and reading my journal. Alright, am I on auto yet? One sec. Alright, I'm on auto. That's all that counts. I guess my opponent was just taking a super long time to start his turn off. Alright, before I continue, you need both your glucose mitochondria and your oxygen mitochondria to live. Without one or the other, you're not going to live. Your glucose mitochondria allow you to basically consume your food. It allows you to process the food that you eat into energy and nutrition for your body, which also explains, again, why I had caffeine anhydrous poison, because it wasn't soluble. My body couldn't process it, and there you go. I had energy, but my body didn't process it. So if you know how the whole thing works, how you end up getting poop in your stomach and needing to use the bathroom, that's actually because your glucose mitochondria processed it and turned it into fuel, which then ends with poop. But if you don't process it, so my caffeine anhydrous, for instance, never turned to poop because it was never processed. It stayed in my body, which caused my body to overreact, and it was basically a poison. That's the same way how oxygen mitochondria works. If you don't have oxygen mitochondria, you cannot process oxygen, and thus it works as a poison. That's why it hurts to breathe, that's why it hurts to drink water, because both contain oxygen, which is basically a poisonous gas without oxygen mitochondria. So I should only continue this method for 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks basically. If you continue this method past 4 weeks, you're basically going to give yourself malnutrition, which is not a good idea. But if you don't continue to process for at least 3 weeks, you're not going to give your mitochondria enough time to actually basically reverse the process. So basically, if you wait if you do this for less than 3 weeks, basically your mitochondria is not going to stabilize. I mean, it might. There's a chance within 2 weeks that it will stabilize, but after 3 weeks, it is for sure going to stabilize. But if you go past that, you'll basically be giving your body malnutrition after the process is already cured. Alright, so the cure. You need to only consume broccoli, avocado, and water for 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. No less, no more. This means no salt, no seasoning, no cheese, no bread, no soda, no pills, no medicines. Because any of those that contain glucose, and you'll notice that the things I just listed, 2 of those have glucose, and I'll explain that in a minute. But if you take anything else that supplies any more glucose than what these give you, you'll basically be deviating from the process, and you won't be doing anything for your body. If you deviate and eat a single slice of bread one day throughout this entire process, you deviate, you end up feeding your glucose mitochondria, and they end up multiplying again. You will not cure your cancer. You will not fix what the problem is. Alright, let's go into why these work. Avocados do contain glucose. Broccoli contains glucose. However, broccoli and avocado contain the least amount of glucose consumable from anything, period. They have basically 0.1 grams of glucose per 100 grams of avocado or broccoli. Let's go into the next match first. Oh, I have to claim my reward. Apologies for the pause. Alright, it's gonna let me go back into a match? Alright, here we go. Alright, so I basically just explained why broccoli and avocados, they have 0.1 grams of glucose per 100 grams of avocado or broccoli. That means they have the lowest amount of glucose of any consumable thing, period, or at least out of anything that we eat that's edible. And that if you do this for 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, it'll basically kill off your glucose mitochondria, the mutated strains, but it won't get rid of your regular glucose mitochondria. That's why you stop after 4 weeks. Now, I suggest after the 3 to 4 weeks of this, that you eat a hearty meal with bread, pasta, meats, greens. This is to restore your blood sugar, because the only side effect to any of this is that this will lower your blood sugar. This means you'll be incredibly tired. You will also crave glucose-filled foods such as bread, pasta, and meat severely because your excess glucose mitochondria are telling you to feed them. What most people don't understand is that when you have a craving, it's your glucose mitochondria telling you that it wants glucose, basically. It's telling you to eat something with glucose. This isn't always because it's good for your body. This is why people get fat, because their glucose mitochondria tell them to eat glucose-filled foods, which which is why a lot of larger people and a lot of women they like high carb foods like breads and pastas and so forth. This is their glucose mitochondria speaking. Let's not even get into that though. I don't want to get into that part. So basically, it's going to be a hard road for a few weeks. You're going to be craving a lot of foods that you don't necessarily need. In fact, you're supposed to be avoiding those foods to get rid of the excess glucose mitochondria, which will tell your body to reproduce oxygen mitochondria, and thus basically reversing the effects of cancer. After 3 to 4 weeks, eat a balanced meal. Breads, pastas, meats, greens. Eat something nice and healthy. This is to restore your blood sugar and glucose levels so as not to hurt your non-malformed glucose mitochondria. This is to replenish your nutrition as well. Basically go on to your regular life after 3 to 4 weeks. But not before and not after. That ends my final research that I will ever share with what I consider an ignorant world. I say that because basically what I've been through today, I'm probably wrong about saying that. I wasted several years to find and test those answers, both on me and on a friend. Whether anyone ever uses my research or dies of cancer for whatever reasons, it's not my problem anymore. If you smoke and kill off all your oxygen mitochondria, I hope you die a very quick death. For both yourself and for everyone else. Peace. This is Skills Eric signing off.